Hi, it's Chris Titley. We're live at the Sports Strategy Summit just before lunch on what's been a fabulous day so far. And I'm joined in person by Campbell Butler. Campbell, thank you so much for having a chat, and nice to have a chat beforehand as well.
It's an absolute pleasure. Really enjoying the day. It's working out really nicely.
What, Campbell, your involvement in sport, why are you here?
So I'm founder of Lovework Studio. We're a branding and design agency focused on sports, entertainment, culture, and technology. And we started the studio probably 5 years ago, and we've been doing heaps of international brands, and we're really trying to grow our projects in Australia. So I'm just finding out much more around the scene here, around sports, around what people are talking around the media landscape, that kind of thing. Because I've had a past of doing that when I lived in the UK for 15 years. So what makes a good logo? Well, there's probably three main things that I would say makes a strong logo. So the first one is making sure that it's something that feels original in some way, so it has some distinct attribute to it. The second one that's very important is that it's actually unexpected. So you have an unexpected attribute. I would even describe it as something that is slightly ugly. So something that if it's not ugly, if it's not distinctive, no one will notice it or have any reaction to it. So they won't remember it, and it probably exists out there in the world. So what you're trying to do is create something that is truly distinctive, and that means you're kind of pushing the edge of what's acceptable. And then the third thing is that it's appropriate. So it needs to connect in some way to your brand strategy or your or what you actually do. So, for example, we were talking around the International Cricket Commission logo that was designed at Manali Bryce probably 30 years ago, where my wife used to work. That logo was actually designed, so it's obviously the ICC with a cricket ball, right? But it also represents the cricket wickets getting struck by the ball, so you're getting this sense of momentum and energy. But if you look at it as a symbol, it has an unusual quality to it. It has a rhythm to it, so it's unexpected, so it works really well. So it's what I would say is an example of a really good solution.
How often do you refine, prototype a rebrand potentially, or a new logo?
So when we're working on an identity, we come up with the strategy. What do we stand for as an organization? What do we want to be known for? Then when we know what that is, we then create an identity that supports that. And the logo is a big part of that, but it's also all the other elements, the color palette, the typeface, the tone of voice. So when it comes to the symbol creation itself, that kind of object, that thing that you're trying to craft, we come up with lots of ideas initially. We'll always, hand sketch or you use computer manipulation, all kinds of tools to generate a mark or a symbol. And we'll kind of know when we get to something that has those three attributes I was talking about before. It feels really original. It's a little bit scary. It makes us feel slightly uncomfortable, but it's also appropriate for the organization, the business. It represents it. So once we're at that point of going, we think it's something around here, we then will iterate and develop it and refine it. We'll do hundreds of variations from that point until it's absolutely perfect and looks absolutely amazing for the organization.
Do you scour around when you see logos and sort of go, I wonder what they're thinking there? And it's like, this is part of your livelihood and occupation that you notice things that other people don't when it comes to logos?
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a curse, because I look at absolutely everything and analyze everything for its semiotic meaning. What that might mean in our culture is really different from what it might mean in India, for example, if we're talking around international cricket. You've got to be really careful around what symbols look like, what they represent, and even the small nuances between them. I get really frustrated when I can almost visibly see the struggle that a designer has gone through when they're creating that symbol. So that, I'll look at an object, and maybe it's a series of L's all stuck together or something like that, because it means, I don't know, it's like some sort of league, in a junior football league or something like that. And then I'll look at it and I can almost see all of the decisions that the designers made as they were putting it together. And then they flipped it over and then they showed it to someone and they said, oh, it's not colorful enough. So they chucked in some colors on top of it. And And I'm always thinking, oh, it's so funny. That's not the right approach to designing that thing.
Yeah, well, there you go, and that's your craft, right? So that's fabulous. Now we're about to hit lunch. So there's going to be a lot of noise, but one final question about what you want to get out of today, who you want to meet, what you're thinking in around sport in Brisbane and in Australia in general.
So it's super exciting. We've got the Olympics coming up in Brisbane. You know, we think there's an amazing opportunity for the creative community to come together around sport. And it's an amazing opportunity for sports to do things that are going to be really different. I'm really hoping that what comes out of the Olympics and all the events running up to the Olympics and all the cool sport things that are happening here are going to really set a new benchmark for what we can do as a creative industry, but also as a sporting industry. I'd love to see loads of stuff to do with augmented reality. I'd love to see things to do with really equal interactivity within stadiums and outside of stadiums. I love the conversations today around urban renewal and urban sporting environments, like, you know, pickleball courts that could be, you know, have really cool graphics on them and that kind of thing. So that's what I'd be really hoping for, and I want to be part of that too.
Yeah, perfect, mate. Campbell, thanks so much for the chat today. I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll obviously take your website and your Instagrams, etc., in the show notes. But appreciate it, mate. Go get some lunch while you can, and do all the networking, mingling that you're here to do.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you very much for having me on the show. Cheers.